that brings me on to another angle for this, which is actually the time left to run of the industry with an appetite for these big projects, because that may actually not be enough to drive much investment in the area. If anyone's making a business case now for investment in offshore oil and gas specific robotics, probably difficult to get funding for it.
Yeah, I think, and which is why we've been focused on brownfield, to be honest, with an idea that, you know, instead of going into a room or having a third party do a study for greenfield and how we build them with robotics, the approach we've taken is less academic and actually, I say it's less academic. It's less academic in the sense that I started with the hypothesis that we don't really understand how robots, you know, work today in our industrial sites. What makes us think, with no learnings there, how can we actually extrapolate to a new facility? You know, it's you know, you mentioned that value case. Is there really value with more coming, or not many new assets potentially coming in where the oil and gas business is going? Again, this is why we took the approach we took. And BP's got a very broad portfolio. I mean, we've got robots. When I came into the role as facilities technology manager, it historically had been for the upstream oil and gas production sites, right? And so I kind of took a broader perspective, waiting for someone to tell me, no, that's not yours, right? That's typically the way I approach things. Start big and kind of get beat back down to whatever box that I belong in. And no one ever beat me down, right? So I took a broad perspective that when we talk about robots from this team, it's going to apply at our wind farms. It's going to apply on our BP shipping, in our refineries, in our chemical plants, in our projects, right? As well as our production sites. And what we're seeing is actually that there's not a big difference between them. The capabilities of the robots may be slightly different, but the apps, if you will, that you need to put on those platforms are pretty much the same in regards to, you know, it may not be that robot that I overlay this onto, this computer vision model or this algorithm to identify and classify corrosion. It may be a crawling robot, it may be a drone, it may be the spot robot. But that app needs to only be built once.
That's another interesting point as well, that the robots are really platforms, and there's apps that then enable functions on it, which is actually a really simple way of thinking of it. They're two separate things. You have your platform and you can kind of upgrade it with apps over time, and then those apps can get better and better.